matter of fact, I was dreaming about it and I woke up again because I think about it a lot. Because if you go into the Bible in my favorite book, favorite chapter, John chapter 1, the context right there it's very easy to see it once you see the context. In the very first sentence, it says in the beginning, but in the Aramaic, it actually says before the beginning, which is eternity, which is, and I asked a question to that group down in Florida, and I believe it was Romeo, not Romeo, Jeffrey. His dog's name is Romeo. Jeffrey said, I said, so what is, before the beginning, what is eternity, infinite? And he said, now. So if the context is in eternity, and then if you look in the Greek, it actually means in source. If you go to the Greek, the word means source. It means origin, which is, the source of all things. So source is eternity, infinite. The whole ancient Hawaiians, they would have said the divine creator. But then you go on down and it says in him. So that him right there is source, which is eternal, eternity, infinite, divine creator. But it says in him was life, and that life that was in him was the light of mankind. Forever. It means there is no beginning nor end. And it hit me earlier because you said you're in the past, I'm in the present, and Dequanne's in the future, according to these timelines we have, right?
Yeah.
We're here right now. So just in that itself, so right now for you, it's 109.
That's right.
For me, it's 209. For Dequanne, it's 309. So that, to me, that just proves in a very simple way that time is an illusion. It's a concept.
That was a great example.
It's perfect.
Yeah, and that there is only now, and now is eternity. And we've always been. I mean, if you want to look at the Bible, it clearly proves it right there. But the question came to me this morning. I was like, if that's the context, how could we ever see anything else? If it's just right there and you paint the picture, it's very clear. How can there be anything else outside of a memory of something else?
That's it. That's a deep understanding if people are catching it and getting what's being said right now. And to even go deeper into it, go a little bit deeper off that example.
Off the example of like time. Okay, so here's what happens. Here's the mechanics of it. Because I like to break down the mechanics and kind of look at how this whole process is happening. So we've had many lives because there's only one body. There's only one life, one spirit, one Lord, one God. There's one. So this entire life or this entire body has been maturing or evolving, you could say, unveiling itself. And so depending on, it's kind of like a pendulum that swings. So in him was life, and life was the light of mankind. So you could say we were all these cells that did not know each other, that only knew one and the one being, and that was it. And so this idea drops down of visibility of another. And we fall off in meditation could be also, you could also say meditation is to fall into a deep sleep. And it's a reaching out and into something. And so we reached out, we fell into a deep sleep when we embraced this idea and reached out and into this visible plane, unveiling this visible plane. One sound, boom, many fractals and fragments, an explosion almost like. And you'll find this in some of like northern Africa, and I think it's the Ethiopian Bible. But anyway, they all talk about this almost like a sound. Some say it was a mighty rushing waters. Some or it's a big boom, like the Big Bang Theory, And so what happens when we get here and we're let's say I'm birthed out of my mother's womb. Well, because we're all one, there's this huge subconscious database that we're all connected to. And in this database, this is what I believe. Now, this is just something I heard on the inside. But when we come here, we come with a set amount of memories or programs in our memory bank. It's already there. It's already there. And that's why when you're a child, that's why certain things are attracted into your experience, certain people, certain occurrences. And when they're sleeping in there. And when that happens, it resonates and it awakens these memories. And so the memory, though, which is also a feeling because it's one and the same, you're remembering past lives, past occurrences, all these things through these feelings. And when the feeling crystallizes into a thought image, a thought, and when you dwell or engage the thought, you project, manifest as form. You project onto this clear screen of reality. And what the intellect does is everything it's seeing and experiencing, it's relating it to the memories, which is keeping us bound to the past, not able to experience the present because of it. So, and so you go, well, why is this going on? And the only answers I could really come up with, the reason I'm here is to be myself, pure in heart. And the only task I really have is transmuting those memories, letting go.
Absolutely. Beautifully said. I want to do another angle of what you said too for people to understand as well, because what you said is like we're walking around in a sleeping bag in a way with memories and everything else, but we're not being present in the sleeping bag and seeing what's going on because we're blinded by the illusions of this world. It sounds simply said, but it's so powerful to live from this perspective completely, to be present like this. Like I was saying before on Vernil's podcast, and we'll go deeper than that. When I was starting off with consciousness, it has to do with intellect, logic, and all the rest, and it's material, just like thought is an element of consciousness. Now, where we can go with this is praise and worship, what we'll actually call blasphemy, because it's actually blasphemy to God to praise and worship God. And here's an exact reason why. Even when we're speaking with words which we cannot describe, this perception through feeling that was written down through man's consciousness in a dead language that we'll call the Bible for those to understand. And what we mean by that is, as the prophets spoke and people wrote them down and interpreted through their consciousness, what they put to articulate things that cannot be described, what no eye has seen, no ear has heard, and or what no man has imagined, what the Father has in store for us. And what we're saying is, how would we feel if our worst enemy, in a way, would honor, praise, and worship us? We know it's more of a smart Alec behind it. And what we want to do with that is, since it's being used with mere words and images and all the rest, it's like Satan in the Christian Bible cannot worship God.
I wanted to touch on something Alex said earlier when he said like we're experiencing these feelings, we're experiencing these emotions and feelings, and we're remembering past lives like through memories already locked away in us. I kind of experience some of the same sometimes, and I'm sure many people out there can relate.
Yeah.
Like you feel something like I had kind of said in a comment on Facebook the other day, when you kind of experience like your child's love, that you outside of yourself, you experience that love for yourself. When you experience those moments of serenity, that real truth, there's something in you, kind of like how you said, like you just know that you've experienced that before. You know, like that understanding is given to you.
I love that.
Like you have known this. You have been this feeling before. This is a true part of yourself. That sense kind of come to you. And I wanted to ask him, because you hinted at this the other night before when we spoke too, is that once you feel those feelings, because like you say, thoughts and images come to them, and then we associate it with that, and then that imagery we associate with it takes us out of the moment. So how do you go from transmuting those feelings from those images to well, I guess what I'm asking is what do we transmute them to, to remember them by, to you know, to hold them by. Because even sometimes when I think back on those feelings, I think back to the time, you know, and when I'm doing that, I'm placing myself in the past, you know, because I'm thinking back on past memories. So I guess just how would people go about transmuting those images and disassociating with them from those feelings that we get?
Here's what I've been doing for a while, and I guess it's evolved a little bit because I found a more simpler way, an easier way. It seems like I've been on this journey for the easiest way. Because you could say, hey man, you just got to let go of that, and somebody be like, well, how?
That's like saying go to Jesus, you know.
Yeah. So it kind of works like this for me. Once I've realized that I'm in a program, you could say, which is a memory, right? And the ways I can realize there's several ways, but real simply put, if I've seen anyone, including myself, because all things are me, right? If I've seen anyone or anything outside of purity, then what's happened is I'm in judgment. Which means the intellect is taking a memory to compare things.
Yeah.
And it means I'm in the past. Because the only way we can think, if I'm thinking, here's another one. If I'm thinking, I'm in the past. Because the only way the mind can think is it has something to compare to.
Right.
Something to compare to. And so, just real simply put, what you ask is how do we do it? This part of us up here can't do it because it does not know. They've proven it. Anyway, I got a book over there called User Illusion. Y'all should get it. I sent it to you. But in that book, they basically break it down, and they said even when you intend to do something and you set an intention, that's bubbling up and coming from somewhere else. But what the intellect likes to do is say, okay, I came up with that. That's my intention. I intended to do that. And what they found is that the conscious mind and the intellect, it only processes 15 bits of information every moment. But what that we're not conscious of is somewhere around 11 to 15 million bits of information every moment. So what can this thing possibly know? You know, it can't. It's impossible. So the divine design, the way I see it, is we weren't meant to know. We were meant to let go and trust that part of us that does know. It's still us, but it's a part. And so in order to do that, so the intellect then becomes our gift to choose. So I can choose to engage the thoughts, the memories, which traps me in the program in the past, or I can choose to engage divinity, some would say my higher self, or whatever you want to say there, and who knows exactly which memory to transmute, when to transmute it, what we can let go of, because the way I see it is that the entire cosmos is held together by data. And you were talking about it with the electrons and the zeros and ones and all that. I see hieroglyphics too in those electrons now. I've been writing them down. I guess that's what they are. I'm not sure what they are. They're symbols.
Right.
But so our bodies would be also data or memory. So if every one of them was transmuted at once, like Ihaliakala said, we'd shrivel up like raisins, prunes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And see, and you know, I'm very much aware, and I'm sure people are too, to transmute those negative, you know, feelings and emotions and stuff that we associate with it. I'm sure everyone by now knows to do that. But what about the good ones too?
Yeah.
I think personally myself, I tend to harbor, you know, the good memories and stuff like that too. And then just like you say, because you know, I'm sure everybody, you know, sometimes people have almost an imaginary argument with someone in their own head. You know, they're playing scenarios that don't really exist, that take us out of the moment, just like you say, setting that intention. And then sometimes when you're getting that information that, you know, like you say, it's from the higher self, where it's feeding you knowledge, intellect, wisdom, and stuff like that. So, and I'm sure by now most people are able to discern this, that, and the third. But yeah. Just to touch on that, what would be your advice about like the good memories, the stuff that, you know, that really gives our soul strength and, you know? those moments of like love and serenity and peace.
Yep.
Because I tend to keep those with me.
So me and Nico, I don't know when it was we were talking about, and he was talking about emptying himself, emptying his mind, and being empty, void. Because only nothing can be all things, you know.
Right.
And so even the good memories, see, I don't know, I wouldn't know which ones to keep and which ones to let go of. I'm pretty sure they're all supposed to be let go of to some degree. So when they come up, for instance, before this interview, I caught myself imagining how the interview was going to go. And I was dwelling on past interviews, because I had a guy tell me one time, he said, every meeting, there'll be 3 meetings. There'll be the meeting before the meeting, there'll be the meeting, and then the meeting after the meeting, where you review everything you just did. And even before, although they seem to be good thoughts or good memories, I simply, as they were coming in, I simply observed them. I was aware of them. I observed them, and I said, thank you. As soon as I said thank you, what I'm doing is I'm taking 100% responsibility, and I'm basically saying, I need help. I want to be present. And I'm depending on you to transmute the memory so I can be present and clear. Because when I'm clear, I'm open, my cup's empty, I'm open to receive inspiration, which is brand new, never been seen before, never heard before, which is and which will be exactly what we all need to hear and the viewers need to hear. But I have to be clear, and I'm not clear when that's going on. So I simply observe, and all I do, I use Ho'oponopono, and I just say thank you. There's many ways, though. Sometimes I would bring myself into stillness by dropping down inside. I just relax everything and empty myself and drop down and be still. And just by that, I believe that because the truth transmutes all into the truth, right? And the truth is who I am. And so when I drop down in that stillness and that quiet, it transmutes all things into the truth. Love transmutes all into love, whatever we want to say there. It is who I am. Everything else is outside of that. So even good memories, I see that we have to let go of them. And the way to let go would be, for me, I observe and say, thank you. Thank you for giving me another opportunity to set you and me free. And as soon as I say that, boom, the process of transmutation has started.
Got you. So I just want to make clear for people who will be watching and viewing. So like good memories of like your parents, your children, like you try to erase those memories and not remember them. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just saying thank you. Gotcha. And with no expectation at all. Whatever happens, happens. Okay. I just wanted to make that clear, because sometimes it'll come up, because we try to wipe the bad memories. I just wanted to get that understanding. Yep. Even the bad ones, I'm not, my expectation is no judgment. Yep. I'm not engaging. I'm engaging. I'm trusting God, which is, gotcha. Where the oneness there. I'm not engaging this because I know as soon as I engage it, here's another good example. As soon as I go run and talk to somebody about a past event, it traps me in the past again, and it replays the program. Yeah. Is that? Yep. You're right. Yep. And if I'm in the past, I can't be present. I can't experience present. I'm truly present, but I'm not experiencing that stillness. And okay. I'd love to hear, though, because I know Nico was talking about emptying, some techniques he uses to just empty out. And I see that as the same thing. There's lots of tools. Gotcha.
Definitely. So, as we were saying, consciousness, really great points. And consciousness is material. So here's an example when people say, how do you receive or how do you gain the Holy Spirit in a religious text? And we could go deeper on this and what we're talking about right now. And it's simply inner dialogue. And I like the word perception through feelings in your soul, where your personality or your spirit, I use as the same word, and the Holy Spirit is part of it. So that's what we mean by trusting and letting go, where your personality or your spirit is trusting God, where all miracles and everything can take place and everything can happen. That is how this is working here. So when it comes down to emptying the mind and getting rid of good and evil thoughts, because thought is an element of consciousness still, it's still material. It's still in these illusions, and this lower vibration here is what we're speaking of. And erasing, not just erasing memories on purpose and looking through them because you won't be present doing that anyway, but it's all the dialogue of perception through feelings. This is how you're harnessing or energy or gaining within, because consciousness is temporary and you want eternal life truly because your soul is craving for that instead of going back dust to dust. So the spiritual only understands spiritual things. So even breaking this stuff down in words is very tough, as we're saying earlier. So emptying my mind, I used to use techniques where if an image popped up, I'll ball it up and shoot it out of my brain, and ball it up and shoot it out of my brain. And then I started, my consciousness was saying, you didn't ball that one up. Or what about that one that came too fast? And it started to play on me again. So another one is following your breath, as Alec does as well. When you slow your breath down, your rhythm, you start to have less thoughts. But step one is knowing who you are, your personality. As a human is a spirit. Spirit and personality, the same thing. And you can identify this by observing consciousness, that you're not consciousness. Now we're going to get into the oneness with this and what this actually means, because consciousness is temporary. You are eternal, right? These are illusions. I observe consciousness by writing down my thoughts, good and evil, in my beginning stages. And then I'll be honest with myself and show and say, okay, this ain't me. Other ones is when I do aerokinesis and I go up to, let's say, a tree, for example, something very simple and basic. The system or consciousness can shut me out if I'm using my egotistic nature on it. That's the wild part. The system will shut me out, and nothing will be authentic if I'm not coming with love or being present or my true self. Now, to sink deep down within, what I do myself is I literally do what Alec just said, to sink deep down within. I literally feel like I'm going to my soul. I guess because I can literally get chills in my body and everything else in a matter of 1 or 2 seconds. But I feel deeply, deeply, deeply love for God and gratitude with no words. Like even when Alex says, I say thank you, he really is not saying it with communication. He's actually, it's this energetic thank you and this gratitude that's even before intention in a way. It's just automatically there, and it's so present. And that's that dialogue communication where someone's gaining or receiving and they're building dialogue up with their inner man. If that's making sense. So I simply just, relax, get myself in a comfortable, relaxing position. Or even if I'm walking around and talking and I'm over here by the pool and it's loud, you can empty your mind like that as well for the canvas by deeply feeling within. So this is what I'm doing. My attention's actually right here. And I'm feeling so much gratitude and love deeply with God that has no words, but the deepest sensations of feelings deeply within, that's not materialistic in any way, shape, or form, or image, or color, or anything. Just a deep love, gratitude of with my soul. So my personality.
So that sense of oneness and connection. Like no separation from everything.
It can be said like that, like the Christian church, when they call like a one body. It's an allegory for when they get together on one accord and one devotion and one mind type sense. What that would mean, but yeah, unity and oneness. That perspective, to bring it to a point, it is all that. Everything is you and God, and then we have the consciously being aware of on a moment to moment basis. This is where the confusion kicks in, because people are not having perception through feelings. But once again, you're looking at a watch or a table or anything like that. What happens is your personality chooses to ponder on the temporary things, and the power of God that's feeding your soul is sustaining this stuff and pulling from your life force. And we're trapped in the past or in the future and playing around, wasting time. We're trading our soul with the devil for a temporary life instead of eternal life. Even when we say, hey, a new video game came out or whatever it is, not to get religious with it, because you can do all things through God. All things are possible through God. So when you have this perception through feelings of love and gratitude deeply within, you can live life freely.
Got you. Okay. Because in my experiences and stuff too, like I was kind of telling you that one time, it's like I'd be kind of given these feelings of like deep serenity, peace and love and all of that. And then I kind of use those feelings for like when I do my meditation or when I'm doing connection or even when I'm doing some deep thought or even changing my mood, you know what I'm saying? Lifting me back up and stuff. So I just want to hit. So some of those feelings, so we don't associate any imagery with it, but we save them for our own, like, and we use them in those times. Correct?
for example, with thoughts and stuff, thoughts could be used for your good, because you're like magnetism in a way for whatever is needed or necessary for like a prophet to even for everything to be spoken out and translated to the brain. You get what I'm saying? Thoughts are always
Yeah.
you can't ignore consciousness, but you can put it under your foot by mastering your emotions.
Right,
You know?
right. Control your breathing, control your thinking, control your imagination.
Yeah, and it's not so much works. It's just letting go and trusting God, as Alex said a lot too as well, is laying back and believing and knowing with this internal dialogue, because with it, you'd be washed away in the storm.
Gotcha. See, I just want a lot of people to realize that they probably don't even know it, but without being aware of it, they're doing it. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people, they're doing it and they don't realize it. And I think that's the main thing to do, is to really show people that they're already doing it, so they can identify what it is, and then they can work with it from there. Yeah, because the big part is just identifying these things, you know, and a lot of people have been paying attention, been observing, like you know, like how most people are. We're starting to realize the illusions that go on in the mind. Just like you say, most people run from the thoughts in their mind. They don't want to think about them. They try to run from them instead of actually experiencing them and processing through them. So that's how you notice the illusions of the mind. What's being given to you by the ego and what's being given to you by source, your higher self, is you have to be able to discern with your observation. So I think that's the main things for people, being able to discern between the two, so they can start, you know, because then you learn to navigate your own internal guide.
Right. Now watch this. Don't take these words for just words, but take them for what they truly mean, past the word meanings of no grammar or anything like that. So I'll run you through mine as well. So actually, just you can have your eyes open or closed, but better for closed for the beginners. So just close your eyes and do 3 slow, deep breaths and relax yourself, relax your heart, relax everything, and go to your soul. They say it's in the solar plex. Who cares? Just go to your soul, feel it. You know where it is. And feel the love and the gratitude that you have for God. And what I mean by God is the fact that you're even sustaining right now and all things are held together right now. Just the gratitude and the love with no words. Just go past that. Feel it deeply, deep, deep love and gratitude. Deeply. Just let it all go. Trust. Let it all go. This is called the filling of the Holy Spirit, as this talk about in scriptures, and as simple as that, dialogue with God, the two becoming one, personality or the spirit marrying the soul. Now, learning and practicing to carry this state, spiritual practices are carrying this state on a walking and waking basis. As you're walking around, as you're doing, like me doing martial arts or anything, like Bruce Lee did too, and all the rest, as you're doing whatever. And whenever something happens to you that you don't like, that's being projected, that you're not catching joy in those moments or love or gratitude, an amazing thing you could do is you can think of 5 things for the beginner stage. You can think. Of course, you could go inner perception through feelings, but if it's not happening to you because you're in a rage and you're caught up in the emotions, a practical thing that can get you there, though, is you can think of 5 positive attributes about the person or the thing that made you upset. Like, there's a funny parable that says this guy lost a donkey, and he started singing praises and worships to God. And everyone was like, why are you singing the praise and worships to God if you lost your donkey? He said, because if I would have sat on him while he was taking her, I would have been lost too. So you can see or a burning house, you know, and you went to Disney World, you come back, your house is on fire, but you're really thankful that you weren't up in that house.
Yeah.
Instead of the temporary, but you have eternal life, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So these are basic ones that people know. Be thankful for what you got, but actually putting into a spiritual practice and living the lifestyle is what we'll call a true believer.
Yeah, and that's the big thing, because like I say, most people, they heard of it, but the actualization on it, you know, that's the big thing. Actually living it and doing it.
Yep. I think, you know, there's what you were talking about dropping down, that's actually in the Bible anyway, where it says be still and know.
Even baptized, yeah, be still and know, and baptizo, to emerge, to sink deep down with, or put on the full armor of God, means to sink down deep within.
To drop down within.
Yep.
Deep down in there. And for me, I tell you what though, man, I really started being aware of my feelings. And of course, at first I related them to negative feelings, being aware of those things when I felt uneasy. And then it was all feelings. When, anything I was feeling throughout the day, I was really aware of that and started observing it. And physically I would, this is the way it started. I would pause everything I was doing, and I would physically pause. And then they would say, pause and pray, or, and then and when I paused and prayed, I would pray. Back then it was a separate God, and I'd ask God to remove whatever that was, fear or anger or whatever.
You were praying consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it, it grew, and it became, I would pause, and then I would just drop down within until I felt peace, just complete serenity, and within it gets to where it just like that,
Yeah. You learn over time to try to see. For me, at first, I would look up so many different other techniques and stuff, and I'll look at what this person said they did and stuff like that, and I didn't realize I already had my own way of doing it. Me trying to follow someone else's instructions would kind of get me nowhere. But just like you say, I have a state where I could almost instantly, because I've been given the experiences, I've been given the feelings. You kind of have it, once it's given to you, and you even have that understanding when you feel it. So it's like I have this now. It's now a part of me. But even to hit on what you're saying about the negative emotions and feelings that people store, I'm quite sure you all know that those manifest as aches and pains in the body, as cancers and stuff like that too. And just like you say, how it says to be still and pray, or to meditate. And when you meditate, most people can't empty their mind. Those thoughts, those feelings race through their head. So you're really supposed to go through those. If you got thoughts and feelings in your head, that you have to deal with that. You can't just consistently block that out, because it will manifest in other ways in the body. And because there's so many other meditation techniques as far as just sitting, thinking of thoughts that's in your head, going through them, letting them play out before you can even get to the empty mind part of it.
That in 2013, I think, right in 2012, I was going to kill myself. Well, in 2013, I went through the 12 steps of AA, and part of that process is this inventory. It's a huge purging up front, where you actually physically write all this stuff down. You pray, you ask God to show you.
Yeah, AA is powerful.
Yeah, and then you write down, they call them resentments. Well, a resentment is a refilling of the past. It's a memory. And so I got all these images and stuff, and I wrote them all down. I had close to 300 I wrote down, and stuff from way back. This is before I realized it. It's even before I was born. We're dealing with ancient memories and programs. And what's cool about it is this is why we're here. All this is converging, seems to be converging at the same time, which means, we were chosen and chose to be here now for this. Mm-hmm. So, I've heard certain things like, the buck stops here. I went into a vision about my dad and his dad and his dad's dad and his dad's dad. And it just went on and on and on and on and on and on. And I saw all these men that were getting this tough love, and because I was feeling this real callous feeling around my wife at the time, and I couldn't understand it. I couldn't be romantic. I couldn't receive her love, and I knew it. I could feel it. And I went into that vision, and I saw all that, and I saw all these little boys that just wanted their dad to hold them in their lap and say, I love you. I'm glad you're here with me. Everything's okay. And instead they got this tough love. They didn't get it. None of them got it. And so those memories, those programs were actually creating this resistance, around me subconsciously. And then I heard, the buck stops here with you. It's time, it's time for this to shift, to transmute, you could say. So, we're dealing with, that's why I like, when people look at other people and let's take a real easy one, maybe somebody that's down and out and they're sleeping under the bridge and they're, drinking and drugging and all this. And somebody says, well, judges and says, well, I was able to just stop, or why can't they just stop? Instead, we should be thankful because that person is experiencing things and was chosen to experience those things to overcome or to transmute and we don't know how ancient the memories that they're dealing with. It may not even have anything to do with what it looks like on the outside. They're dealing with things, man. I'm talking about going all the way back to the memory of death, the memory of another image, where we really started to think for ourselves and not let the universe do everything for us.
That's beautiful, Alec. It reminds me of when I see someone who is homeless, for myself to even pause as a reflection as well. That's a good. So it could be a great reminder when I see someone homeless as well to pause.
Yep.
And perception through feelings, and because of many representations of what the homeless person represents.
Yep. But you're right, Dequanne. There was a huge purging up front for me where, I was emptied of a whole lot, man. And, it just, I wrote it all down.
It's so amazing you was able to realize that and change that. Cause that goes on. That goes on so much. I'm family members, friends, parents. You just see that parents that's like emotionally disconnected, like from their kids. You know what I'm saying? And it's this system around us. They have to work, pay bills. It's almost set up for that connection to never really happen. It's almost designed that way. But yeah, glad you was able to realize that. And that's why so many people these days, they're depressed, they're upset, they're not happy. Their soul knows something isn't right.
Yeah. I tell you what, I posted something up the other day. It was a video, and the lady was talking about our inner child, the son. You can say SUN, SON, which also relates to the solar plexus and the subconscious mind. But it's related to as like a child. It doesn't have to be a male; it can be female, or male or female. It doesn't matter. But it's the only begotten. It's that inner child that's been really neglected and abused because it's gone unnoticed. But anyway, what this lady was talking about it, and I was like, man, she's like, have you ever gone out during the day and you just feel just tired? You don't really feel like doing anything. You're just not present. It's almost like you have no hope. You have no purpose. She said, what's probably going on there is your inner child has checked out. Mm-hmm. It's always there, but it's not there with you. You're not together. You're battling against the intellect mother. And I love the way they describe it as the intellect as the mother, and which is the conscious mind, and then the subconscious mind is the child. So it's a mother-child relationship. But if you look at like a lot of families today, the mother controls the child almost forcibly. Children to do things, not allowing the child to problem solve, do it this, and this way. And that actually is a mirror representing our own conscious mind and subconscious, when in all actuality, the mother serves the child, because everything bubbles up from the subconscious, either memories or inspiration, but they both come through the subconscious mind before it reaches the conscious mind. So the mother actually serves the child, and unknowingly has been trying to control the child, But
that's children, a great way to put that.
So like with children, and I noticed it with myself. I was like, man, okay. And so now I wake up and I say hello. Thank you for being with me. I'm nurturing that relationship, because if you look at like the divine feminine, and if you look at nurture, it is gentle encouragement, and it's almost like educating in a gentle way. It's not even a physical thing, and to grow up and to build up yourself, really. And I noticed it at first because I didn't even know what nurture meant. And so now my intellect I'm using to nurture this relationship with my inner child, because the inner child can do things while I'm sleeping, can do things while we're all throughout the day. And I don't even have to know what's going on there. I just have to know that, hey, we're working together, and that's when things start to just unfold. We're not, things just start to happen, and you don't even know how they're happening. You'll walk into rooms and people get healed, set free, delivered, they awaken, and you never said a word. You just showed up.
Exactly, man. Exactly. You just showed up, and the presence. As I said before, too, even in the Bible, people were putting their own faith, their own theologies on Jesus' presence and their opinions. If he just say the word, my daughter would be healed. If I touch the hem of his garment. And of course, it's all about pressing in deeply within these stories that are allegorical, metaphysical, and all the cool perspectives of it. And another cool fun fact, as you were saying, that you do not need to know, and also great organic knowledge, is the central nervous system, or the parasympathetic system, or the sympathetic system controls the subconscious mind. And that's done by our reactions, of course, which is a big basis on what we're speaking about in the same language. The effects of our reactions, how it goes directly to the central nervous system, the subconscious mind. Since the central nervous system controls the subconscious mind, and our reactions are based off the CNS, the nervous system, even through our thoughts. As we were saying earlier, even as what they'll call us pondering on a thought is a sin, or hamartia, to disconnect from origin. I remember Alec was breaking that down as well. And we disconnect from ourselves, even pondering on things, because we're paying attention and spending our life force.
Yeah.
Goes back to it.
Yeah, like the saying, where attention goes, energy flows.
Oh yeah. So a thing that Alec and I have been getting as well, Dequanne would like to share this, is beautiful, is when we're thinking that we can create something, or we're thinking that we're manifesting miracles.
Mm-hmm.
And we can speak on this as well, where God is the one that does the miracles, and how we're a conduit, a channel, a mediator, a vessel, or a pardon of God on that aspect. And whenever we create, we're actually using the power of God that's being used to sustain these things, which takes from our life force. As you could say that consciousness, or the material realm, or even the energy out here runs, we're like a slave or a cow, and we're feeding it a battery, as it needs this energy, since it's temporary, and it needs to feed off of us.
Gotcha.
And
Yeah,
go ahead.
sorry.
I'm sorry.
And remember, I was speaking about the affirmations. The one time, because even in the Bible, I think I've only ever seen one affirmation that was "I am that I am," and because that's so absolute and covers every other thing. So every other affirmation after that would be crossing back on the what you're saying.
Hey, let me ask you this on those affirmations, and then I'll kind of tell you the way I see it. But like, who am I affirming? Let me put it like this: which part of me am I affirming?
Got you. Well, I guess most people use them as a tool to try to reprogram the subconscious mind is what they're doing by repeating the stuff. But like Nico was just saying, the central nervous system. Oh, it's a great question. So what are some ways people can use the central nervous system to reprogram the subconscious mind?
Well, but before you get there, so like you just said it, so a person would be using the affirmations to reprogram the subconscious mind. So that you're using the intellect, like I just proved, doesn't really know, to reprogram the subconscious mind how it thinks it should reprogram the subconscious mind. But how can it possibly know? And here's the other thing. if the subconscious mind is a child and the subconscious mind knows exactly what it feels and believes, then basically we're trying to control and force that child to do something.
That's right. See, I personally, I used to recite the 42 laws of Mach. Then I would do all these other affirmations, and then I would end it with "I am that I am." And then I realized, okay, I've said it so much, I don't even need to recite the 42 laws of Mach. I could simply think I'm divine by the 42 laws of Mach. Like I limited it down, and then I realized, wait, me just simply saying "I am that I am." Then I realized I just simply am by being. So I didn't even have to. And me and Nico kind of talking about.
Yeah, if you say I am a spirit, then as an affirmation, then consciousness will say, if you're a spirit, then everything's already done and you don't need anything or whatever like that. It'll keep playing tricks with you. Yeah. And even like the Saint Germain, Divine Flame, and all that stuff. I did all that stuff too, but I see that the reasons why it was there and why it was used and why the lamas, yogis, and saints used this was because it was supposed to advocate perception of feeling within you, not to be used as a crutch of control and power, of course, because we're being manipulated by manipulation itself doing that.
I kind of see them now as all like stepping stones. They were stepping stones towards something or to unveil something that's already there, but I had to walk through certain things and,
That's why it's so crazy how much we're learning, how fast it's going through it. Like months ago, like I said, reciting affirmations and stuff.
Yep.
Let's talk about it too, like what you just hit on, how we're being influenced by, like, manipulated by the manipulation. And even like, what they talk about since beginning of time. I mean, since ancient times, like the Nag Hammadi texts about these entities and these illusions that feed off our energy, whether it's negative or love, just any energy, period. And what's your guys' thoughts on that and perceptions of that?
Did you say the Nag Hammadi?
Yeah, the archons and the illusions that they oppose, like when people use these illusions, these illusions, whether it's like for love or because as we know, they feed off energy, whether it's good or it's bad.
Something short, I guess, to kind of answer those type of questions that a lot of people are interested in. So you can say it like this and find all the research to it and everything. It goes pretty deep. Out of the 7 angels, there was an angel named Ahriman who made the programming of consciousness or Satan or this material realm like this, right, in this world we live. And one of the elites, way back, one of the original ones, his name was El, and they used for El Elyon, El Shaddai, and took some of the names of the 7 angels on here. And it's actually spoken about in the Bible, where we have our friends Kyle Butler and Chuck. They'll explain as well. They don't know this, but they'll talk about how can God rape, murder, slaves, and all that. But it's actually speaking of the elites during the times of Atlantis, where they used technology to reign and rule over people, and they were bored, so they were using wars. And they can see all the research, and everybody can when you go back and look at this whole entire thing of how it was being abused. But God stepped in. It was amazing because Atlantis went down through a flood and an earthquake in one day because the people were totally over it. And then El was giving his children through a special fruit immortality. He died shy of 1,000 years, the rest of his children. And he was giving them immortality. They moved on a paradise island, and the people were worshiping them as gods because they kept living on. And they're passing it down. And anybody that tried to go out there, they had UFOs and levitation devices and cloning humans and making giants and all kind of wild things way back in the days where our technology is like Stone Age now. But people weren't going in with perceptions or feelings, and they started being distracted by the external as the elites are ruling, and all this stuff is written up in the Bible where people are giving praise to elites and worship, but it's external praise anyway. So, but that's how a lot of that stuff goes, and then the energies with the Nag Hammadi and the stuff that you're speaking of. If that just this up, you're speaking about principalities and powers and things in the air.
Well, yeah, I just meant like the manipulations going on with people, like how certain energies and stuff play out and how people are being influenced. Say for instance, like sexual energy, how how people get attracted to someone, is that and the third, how there's real entities called like archons who feed off you, lowering your vibration and giving up your life force and your sexual energy and stuff like that as well. And people are under archonic influence all the time, and they don't really realize it. And it plays out through anger, through their emotions. When their emotions get the best of them, they're more susceptible to lashing out in ways that are true from their truth, from love people and stuff like that.
They can download a PDF called the Secret Covenant PDF if they want to check out that information. At the end of the day, though, on all that stuff, if we're just going in within, of course, and dialoguing with God, and all things are possible with God, and all that stuff are for distractions and illusions, because that energy that is being used is still being sustained temporarily through consciousness and the distractions, and where we're putting it all at when people feed and ponder on the stuff that come from the outside in, and it's to distract us from going within. And all that stuff written about is the archons, and the last sentence they put is, we just don't want everyone to know that we are one. And that's on the Secret Covenant PDF by the archons themselves, and that's what the whole thing's about. All the distractions.
Check this out. It's kind of the way. So I've created my reality, and that means, okay, you're in my reality. Whatever comes into my reality, if I've created that reality, I'm 100% responsible for whatever that is. And not just, I'm talking about if somebody comes across my path and they're lame, crippled, they're in my reality. That means I'm 100% responsible. That means there truly is only me and my thoughts. And which it takes it to a whole nother level, because if, like, this is what really got me. All of my problems, so we could view, what you were just talking about, the mind control, the elites, the archons, all this type of stuff as a problem, right? We could say that's a problem, but it's in my reality. So you could also say all things, but I'm going to say all problems. So all of my problems are memories / programs / corrupt data, error, that are replaying. They're stored in my subconscious mind, and they're replaying as problems. They're replaying as the very things that keep coming across my path. Why? And if you go back, like go back to the story of Adam and Eve. I love the way the Hawaiians say it, but you go back to the story and
do the Hawaiian version one. I like that one.
Well, the Hawaiian version says that I'll just paraphrase it. It basically says that one of them, I'm not sure, it's just one of them, but Ihale Akla said it, but says that God placed Adam and Eve in the garden, and when the apple comes about, it was to think. It was
consciousness.
The gift to choose. He said, I'm going to give you this gift to choose. You can either choose to stay here in the garden and I'll do everything for you, or you can choose to think for yourself. And the problem was not the choice to think for yourself. The problem was Adam blamed Eve and didn't take responsibility and simply say, I'm sorry.
Like we blame our subconscious mind.
Right. Blaming. Yeah, blaming. And instead of saying, I'm 100% responsible, I'm sorry for whatever's going on in me that has created this. And, it's not that we have to be sorry or anything. It's just a form of turning and saying, hey, I don't know what that actually is, but I know you can transmute those things, because if I'm still seeing error, if I'm still seeing imperfection, if I'm still seeing evil, if I'm still seeing all these things, problems, mistakes, there's a beam in my own eye, and it's the memory.
And to clarify again, what Alec's saying as well is, whenever we get into, let's say, an argument at work or something like that, that's us blaming Eve. If we have the audacity to argue with the film on the TV and saying, why did a football player number 48 didn't tackle him? It's not going to change what happened.
No, because what I'm doing is I'm talking to the monitor. I'm talking to the screen, hoping that the movie changes. But you can't. The movie's not going to change by me talking to the screen. I got to go back into the upper room where the projector is and change the film that's running through the projector. See, we've been talking to the screen, to the data, hoping the data changes. It's like when like the other day, me and Jessica got into a little, she won't mind because I've already talked about it. We got into a little spat and we tried to talk it out. But you know what we were basically doing? Our motives, I'm right, you're wrong. You did this, you did this, you did this. And all we were doing the entire time was engaging the memory, and the memory kept replaying. We ran around the mountain several times. We ended up at the same place. My head was spinning, and I was like, damn, we didn't get anywhere.
Yeah, a lot of people can relate to that.
Consciousness to say, you're a hypocrite. You just made this Facebook post, but real spirituality is coming like AA meetings. When you're saying stuff like this, you're exposing the system, exposing Satan, and showing that we're personality and spirit.
Yeah, and so then I knew it. Here's what's crazy about it. This is where it gets real crazy for me. I knew exactly what was going on. It was as if I was viewing it from somewhere else, watching the whole thing go on, and still let it go on. And then until I finally came to a place where I said, you know what? I've got to take full responsibility for this because I've created this.
And God gives grace to the humble, and that's real humility there.
Some deep healing happens.
Yeah, and so like the yoga, it doesn't mean I even have to go to another and talk about it. I don't see that anymore either. I simply go within. And then things happen. It's like all these things are happening. I didn't even have to go say I'm sorry to the person. You know, this person messaged me the other day. Well, I don't know. You did this, and this, but you didn't notice me. You didn't say this. You didn't say that. And I said, you know what? Who's actually asking and talking right there? That's data. That's a memory. That's data talking through that person. Mm-hmm. Now, if I engage the data, I'm going to get stuck in the data. It's going to replay again. So
Satan, get behind me. Is consciousness data?
Yeah, yeah. So I didn't. I let it go. I went within. And I said, thank you for giving me another opportunity to set you free. I did what Jesus said. He said, I love you. I loved it. And the next day, they called and apologized. I never even talked to them.
That's putting the illusion under your feet, mastering your emotions, and
that's all a lot of people really need to hear too, man. If like even when someone's kind of coming at you upset and stuff, and what they're really not looking for you to do is combat back. You like the second you respond with like that kind of like, hey, I understand, I get it, or you say, hey, it's gonna be all right. I know you're kind of. They kind of like break down, don't they? They kind of like, you know what I'm saying? They kind of, yeah, because what they really needed, what was those words, that delicate touch for you to say, I understand, for y'all energies to kind of, yeah, if you'd have just combated right back, then it just would have built.
You engaged it. You're just stuck in it. Yeah, you're resisting. Yeah. And what you resist persists. You know, it's the same thing as where you're, what was that? What'd you say earlier about the energy? Where focus, where
attention goes, energy flows.
That's it. Yeah. I know that one. Yeah,
because I would see your posts all the time, and then I would see your posts talking about like the memories, playing on subconscious and stuff. I literally read it, and then like 15 minutes later, like I'm at work or something, and someone kind of do something, and then it's kind of like irking me, and I'm like, man, this is exactly what he's talking about. Like this happened 15 minutes ago, and I'm in here in my mind still going through. I was like, man, this is what he's talking about. Like,
exactly. Yeah. We choose life or death, and where attention goes, energy flows. Now think about this: when we're paying attention, whose energy is flowing?
Yeah,
the energy of God that's sustaining your body, right?
Yes, so that's life force. That's what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So now life is leaving us.
Yeah.
Even on a thought we're pondering on that has duality perspective of wasting time and choosing temporary.
That's why salvation is like moment by moment. That's life and death is moment by moment. It's, you know, I can choose life or I can choose death. I can choose to engage the programs, the data, or I can choose to trust God. Let it go. I really think it's just that simple, man.
It is that simple. Very simple.
I really did. Hey, check this out too.
And then once you do that, you start to be able to see the illusions of the mind that okay, like you say, once you're floating higher in that piece of serenity, it's like a thought kind of come to your head, or it's given to you that's trying to take you out of it, that's trying to give you the memory. Some, hey man, you remember when they said that? Why they trying? Man? Didn't they try you? So you like, oh no, like can't do this again, can't entertain that right there again.
It happened. It happened. I'll give you a real good example of that, because I'm really aware of them now. But so I got my hair cut. My soon to be, well, she's already my wife. We're just gonna do a ceremony here pretty soon. But
Okay.
Jessica, we say we're soulmates. But I don't really believe in going and getting a priest to marry me anymore or any of that stuff. So
Me neither.
yeah, we're already on that. But anyway, so she gives me a haircut, and she's in school for hair, and she gives me a mohawk. And I'm going to drop my kids off, and this person looks at me and says, what do you call that haircut? And I've got a relationship with this person, so what they say, it means a little something to me.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that's a mohawk, and I was kind of laughing. And they say, you need to cut that off. Like, I don't know what you're thinking, man. You need to cut that. And I laughed it off, but it felt like a knife went in me, man. Ooh.
Yeah.
And something that small, and my mind starts going crazy with it. I didn't say nothing. I went back to the car and talked to anybody about it. And my mind's like, you should have gave them a piece of your mind. You need to go back and say, who the hell are you to try to tell me what kind of haircut I need to get? Blah, 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 blah. You need to call them. Well, I didn't. I simply dropped down within, which also the Yoga Sutra 1.3 says the seer is established in its natural environment. Dropping down within. The seer, the one who sees reality as it truly is, free from judgment, free from beliefs, free from thought. It's clear. So each time I do that, that marriage is taking place like you were talking about. And I just dropped down within, and I just said, thank you. And I'm sorry for whatever's in me that attracted that experience right there. And this is something I do. Next day they called and apologized. I never talked to them.
Yeah.
I don't need the apologies because I had forgotten about it. But as soon as I forgot about it, my mind stopped, and they called and said, hey, I just want to tell you I'm sorry. I really like your haircut. I don't know why I said
Beautiful. It went right back to them. That's amazing how the energy bounces. And very beautiful.
Once I'm clear, once it transmutes in me, it also transmutes in them, in all of creation. So really, we're setting all of creation free, setting ourselves free.
Yeah. Remember, once again, John 17, Jesus says there's no one to change but self. They find us to be the hardest saying, etc. Yeah, when we go within, the outside changes. And even speaking of marriage, how this, like the governmental contracts, and then at the same time, we already know we're above and beyond that, and even living in this life. But there's the sexual contracts, and what marriage is, what it really is, and the tribal contracts is about family business, taking it to the next level, and it shows like a qualification in the spiritual realm as well, where to become equally yoked and say, hey, I'm ready to take this business to the next level, and how it's actually operating. And then the external factor, of course, is for man and woman's world and what they want to create and enjoy for their pleasures, and what you do deserve, because we're carrying the presence of God. So
I like that. I like that. Yep, I do. We're having a what do you call it? A hand tying ceremony, and it's just it's just going to be us and our kids.
Okay.
And we're going to do it in the vortex, one of the vortexes over there in Sedona, Arizona.
Wow, man! You know what that reminds me of? The hand tied is it reminds me of my hands are tied, and hand has to do with how you handle things, and y'all pretty much tie your hands or you wash your hands. If my hands are tied, I can't do nothing, but God can.
Yeah, hand.
Oh yeah, the vortex over there in Sedona. I remember we want to go, but we were going to take an RV, but we ended up taking our car and got a lot of stuff moved to storage. But I was actually watching a video on Sedona, Arizona, on the vortex, and there was this lady who went over there, and it was the first time she ever had her mind emptied out, and she went into a straight emptied mind and felt like she was levitating, and it was just an incredible experience you had.
You know, that practice you were talking about, I do the exact same thing. I just drop.
Yeah.
I used to have to sit down and really, focus and
now it's like this.
Yeah, but I just, it's like I'm pulling, even like your nose will flare out a little bit.
Yeah, mine too. Yeah.
It's like this energy. I mean, I feel it, and it pulls all the way up. I really start to feel it up through here and then up here.
The energy structure. I don't know if I lost Alec or is he still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. And yeah, on the energy structure of the human body, they say there's like this antenna on the back of the head that starts to lift up. I have a thing on it too that I've checked out before. It's very interesting. But that's what that reminds me of.
Yeah.
Tail on the back of the head or something, or antenna.
Hey man, there's something something I was looking at this morning. Let me find it. And it reminded me when you were talking about like authorities and rulers and even elitism, and you were saying archons and all that. I've read a little bit of that, but there's I was looking at this verse just listen to it. It's out of the Bible. I won't tell you where, but it says this: all things in heaven and on earth, seen and unseen, were created in me. All things exist through me, in me, and for me. I myself am infinite and eternal, existing before all things, and in me, all things consist. First person, me, myself, heaven, within, and I found it real hard to
everything
first to grasp because Dr. Ihaliakala Hulin, he said, "There's nothing out there. There's only me and my thoughts." And I was like,
"Yeah, the mind is like everything." And that's what's crazy about that too, because the information we literally arm our minds with, and I was one of those people too, man. I would be on YouTube. I would be researching, looking up so much stuff, right? So you're almost opening up all these doorways for your mind to kind of go down, and so yeah. So it's very real, man. I was watching the conspiracy theory stuff. It's just like you said, you make your own reality with the stuff you're like looking at and the stuff you're watching. And so yeah, I'm quite sure there's some people out there, they done drove themselves schizophrenic, like with the type of like what you choose to look at is very real.
Yeah, it definitely is crazy. I mean, I don't know if Alec ever told you, but he drove himself crazy. He used to be black, bro. In this life.
Oh yeah.
Drive myself crazy.
But yeah, but just to hit on what you said about them speaking all in first person, and I think that's why so much of the Bible growing up wouldn't make sense to me. Like even like when I used to read it and stuff too, it just didn't make sense to me. And then once I started reading the Nag Hammadi text, and then I'm reading about Yel-Debaoth, and then how the second he proclaims I am, the second he says I am something, he cut himself off. He was ignorant of the source he came from, and the second he proclaimed I am, like, God, the second he said that, he cut himself off from Sophia Pisces, like the absolute wisdom and everything. So when you say that, those proclamations that are in first person, it gets me thinking right back to what he said, like the elite rulers, the Elohim, the all that, what they talk about, the Numi Elish.
Yeah, all that stuff, all driven out all through the Old Testament, even pillar and cloud by day and night. But this is my perspective, according to my personal research I'm giving you as well, though, is you see during the Atlantis time as well, they're using these technologies of UFO clouds. I mean, you see pillars, all this stuff, man. Even but they have the evidence today. That's the amazing part. As you know, there was planes, helicopters, video games, all that stuff way back. Crazy, man. Amazing.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
They had the Xbox 3000 and all kind of stuff we don't even got yet.
Oh yeah, it is. Even it's not even over that far back, but in like the 1700s and stuff. Like most of the infrastructure on buildings, they go to do remodeling and stuff, and they realize they're actually four stories deeper.
Like 1654, Burger King, and all that stuff under different grounds that were buried and dates they were checking out, and it's like a matrix of the same time loop. And I always say back
So
in the
this
day,
has happened
on the
so
beach with
many
hotels
times.
and cars.
It's like a video game of Sims that they keep booting up. Like if you want to think about the hologram, and the simulation theory, it's like a video game. They keep wiping their memory and booting back up, booting back up, booting back up.
And yeah, God made the video game. It's a crazy game.
Yeah, it get real
Best
deep,
graphics.
man. Like who made the simulation?
But if you wake up, you can start catching the glitches, and that's what the game's about.
Yeah.
Ain't it something?
Nah, you're right. Yeah, this was great, man. We'll definitely have to do it again.
Yeah, let's do it again.